see they would perform this time around. So let's just see. I think yesterday we saw this other lady, Eniola Bolaji, in the badminton event. She was able to pull through, of course, to the next round of game. And I think for me, that's a very huge, performance. So we should be looking forward to see Team Nigeria, trying the most they can to surpass the previous record, we saw last time. I think if you take a look at it, we've always gotten that huge level of dominance when it has to do with the power lifting as well. And as well, this time, for what we're saying, badminton is also one sport that's going to give us medals. So let's just see how it goes, for Team Nigeria going forward.
Team Nigeria has to really show class. We've seen them in the past, the Paralympic Games, return a lot of medals. So we want to hope that this will happen again this time. We understand 22 sources of showcase for which Nigeria is only taking part in 4, but at least it should make a difference there. Amongst the 449 athletes that are there, I'm sure that our over 20 athletes there should as well try to see how they can get to the podium. Kingsley, we saw a very colorful opening ceremony. It looks like what we saw at the able-bodied Olympians. It continued there with 168 delegations showing their stuff at this year's Paralympic Games.
Yeah, it was really...
But 65,000 spectators inside that, outside of the stadium.
Outside of the stadium.
It wasn't like a stadium, but I think that was in a palace arena in France, in Paris.
Now, and for me, I think the organizers, they really, put up a very huge, let's say, top-notch organization. We saw what happened in the Olympic game where the opening ceremony was held in a river. This time, it wasn't also held in the stadium, it was held outside.
Yeah, the palace, the brink, out there in Paris.
So I think they've actually, taken the bar to another level. I think, talking about the next Olympic game, the organizers will have to do a lot, to be able to surpass this impressive, opening ceremony. I think for me, it was very, very colorful down there. And Team Nigeria, we saw them, of course, with their very beautiful attire. Lorenta Onye was the flag bearer of Team Nigeria in the opening ceremony, and we saw the weightlifter talking about Fumilayo. She was the captain of Team Nigeria, and it was a very impressive outing for Team Nigeria. We just hope that they're going to complement that beautiful outing with the performance we've seen. So far, so good. I think it has not been bad when it has to do with the performance of some of the players. So we have hope that Team Nigeria, especially, will be able to surpass the record they set last time in Tokyo, which they won about 10 medals. I think it was a very impressive outing down there, you will see. So we're looking forward for them to surpass that record and then, of course, put smiles on the faces of Nigerians. Because when you talk about Olympics, I tell you, it has not been rosy, especially it just concluded in the Paris Olympic Games. 65,000
spectators outside of that, the largest square in Paris, at the Parc de Concorde, where the opening ceremony of this year's Olympic Games for Paralympians took place. Kingsley, 549 medals on showcase. How many of that will come the way of Team Nigeria?
It's a big question, Mr. Siri. I can't really pinpoint at this point in time, because from what we're seeing, if we're able to win 10 last time in total, I think we should be able to, our target should be able to at least surpass 10. If we can come back home with 15, no matter the colors, at least it will be something very huge. And I think for me, the Paralympians are very motivated, especially looking at the fact that their bonuses have been increased: $15,000 for gold and $10,000 for silver, bronze, $5,000 for bronze medalists. I tell you, they are really motivated at this point, and I think for me, it will help them do whatever they can to make sure that they get something, back home. If you're able to get $15,000 for winning a gold medal alone, that's a very, huge amount of money. So I think that would be a means of motivation for them. But let's just hope at least we're able to surpass the 10 medals we won last time.
It's the 3 at the Paralympic Games where we've seen 22 sports to be competed for. Like we mentioned, there are 549 medals on showcase. All of these will have the attention of about 4,400 athletes, Paralympians that are there in Paris. Team Nigeria, go for it and return back with medals. Away from the participation of Team Nigeria, the ongoing Paralympic Games in Paris, let's look at another accolade coming the way of Nigeria. This time around, for basketball team, the female national basketball team, the Tigress, has now broken into the top 10 of world basketball. They are now number 8 in the world, Kingsley.
Yes.
This is cheering aftermath of that demolition of wall number 3 and wall number 5 at the last FIBA championship.
Impressive one, Mr. Siri. This is the world stage, not even Africa. A very, very impeccable record, you would say, for the D Tigers of Nigeria. The first African team, male or female, to break into the top 10 of basketball ranking. I think for me, it's a very huge achievement, you would say, for the girls. And kudos must be given to Rena Wakama, the coach, who has been, of course, at the helm of affairs to making sure that, the D Tigers, achieve this particular record. We saw what they did, and they just concluded Olympic game where they were able, of course, to lock on with the likes of Australia.
World number 3?
World number 3, even France as well. So it was really an impressive performance. Even the game against the team that is ranked number 1 now, talking about the United States of America, it was a very impressive performance. They didn't actually play like rookies. They actually came out to challenge the United States of America. So for me, I think if you take a look at it, they've improved in terms of their performance. We saw just coming from the Afro Basketball Championship, which they won in Africa, going down to the Olympic game and getting to the quarterfinals, something that no other African team, of course, male or female basketball team, have achieved down here in Africa. It's really, really an impressive one. And we look forward for them to continue with this level of performance.
The Tigers female basketball side of Nigeria making history. They were all number 8 for the very first time into the top 10 in the world basketball. But it looks like controversy doesn't seem to stay away from the Tigers team. You remember last time the girls were denied participation at the FIBA World Cup because of maladministration from the federation. This time around, they had to, go to a major championship without the captain of the side. And as if that was not enough, now the assistant coach of the team, Obi, what's her name now? I can't remember quickly. Abi Olajuwon. If you remember Olajuwon, one of the Nigeria's most recognized basketball player in the world, Hakim, the father of this girl. If you remember, he played basketball to, I think, Houston Rockets then. The daughter now is an assistant coach with the female basketball team to assistant to Rene Wakama. She's now complaining of non-payment after what she described as significant contribution to Nigerian women basketball. We often talk about it here, and it looks like we're crying foul. Now we're hearing right from inside an assistant coach with the D Tigers team that has done so well for Nigeria, Africa, and the rest of the world basketball is now been complaining about lack of payment after significant contribution in our own words.
Not a good one at this point in time. I think when you take a look at the state of basketball in the country, we're trying to revive basketball from what we've seen so far. You take a look at the maladministration has really, brought a huge decline in terms of basketball down here in Nigeria. When was the last time? Of course, last year we had the Nigerian Basketball League. It took a lot of time before we even saw that abridged league. And then we talk about the female basketball as well. It's not been that consistent, so far in the country. So for me, I think at this point in time, where I think due to political tozo and all of that, leadership tozo in the NBBF, a lot of things has gone wrong. So at this point, I think we're trying to see how we can get better in terms of basketball once again. Irena Wakama has come and she's trying, of course, to put things in place, especially for the D Tigers of Nigeria. We should not be, doing things to hear such kind of, story coming from maybe an athlete or a coach or whatever. It's very, very sad after going all that out there, to put up some impressive performance. At the end of the day, you're not paid. Nobody will be happy that, he or she is not paid, for the work that that the person has been putting up out there. And for me, I think that's why she's not happy at this point in time. So airing her view, I think, is right, first of all. And the NBBF at this point should be looking forward to see how to put this in place in basketball down here in Nigeria. Not always allowing this kind of thing, of course, to pop up. It's not good. A laborer deserves his wages. And for me, she should be paid, what is due to her. Take a look at what she's done so far for the country when it has to do with basketball. So I think these are things we should try to avoid, not to make sure that, of course, we don't, paint what we're trying to build or what we've built for years, bad. So for me, I think the NBBF should look into it and see how they can possibly give her what is due to her.
Well, I think we really have to do something about Nigerian basketball administration and ensure that we do not get some of these embarrassment, so to say, especially when we are on the rise in terms of performances on the court. The girls have to be supported, the officials have to be supported, and all those charged with administration of basketball in Nigeria must sit up in our own words. Talking about basketball, and Nigeria's climbing into the top 10, now world number 8 in the world in basketball. Rwanda as well is another team from Africa that has jumped. They rose as by 12 places to number 62 in the world of basketball. Rwanda seem to be getting it right in the last few days, both in the male and female category of basketball.
Yeah, if you take a look at it, Rwanda, the one country, of course, they're one of the countries that are doing so well in Africa when it has to do with basketball. So I think sometimes we've seen some Afro Basketball Championship we had in Rwanda, and they're so particular about basketball development down there, and that's why we're seeing the male and female team, of course, doing so well. You know, moving up in that very huge fashion for me is a good one. 12 places to 62nd, of course, in the world. You would say not a very bad one. If they continue with this level of momentum, they have that opportunity, of course, to increase or to go further when it has to do with the rankings.
Well, we say congratulations to the Nigerian side and, of course, to the Rwandans as well for making a leap, a 12-point leap, a 12-place leap to world number 2 in basketball. And let's see whether we still have some more time to look at what is breaking right now from the U.S. Open. But Kisley, I really don't know. But let's take one more basketball story before we get to very shocking development coming from Flushing Meadows in the New York, where the U.S. Open is ongoing. And talking about basketball reminds me that Stephen Curry, the Golden State Warriors star, has agreed to a new 1-year contract. This is good news for Golden State Warriors that one of their main men is agreeing to stay for yet another 2 years period.
Yes, for me, I think it's a good one for the Golden State Warriors. He's their key man. Steph Curry was very, very instrumental, of course, for them last season, and putting up this contract that would take him to 2027. I think for me, it will actually help the Golden State Warriors, of course, contend for the title once again. And we hear that this one is very huge, $215.4 million is a very huge amount of money, you will see, for Steph Curry. And the reason why he's been paid that much is because of his impact so far. He's been very, very instrumental, of course, for the Golden State Warriors. Last season, of course, he averaged 36.4, 5.1 assists, and a 5.4 rebound per game. And you see, of course, it was really an impressive outing for the man, talking about Steph Curry. He's won about 4 NBA titles with this Golden State Warriors. So for me, I think he really deserves that particular contract extension and the huge amount of money that follows as well.
Huge amount of money. Talking about Steph Curry's new contract is worth $215 million US. That's 215.4 million to be specific, and that's very big money for an extra 1 year for the man. Steph Curry only ever played for the Warriors in the NBA after being drafted by California team way back in 2009. Last season, we know that Steph Curry averaged about 26.4 points and 5.1 in assists and 4.5 rebounds per game. And right now, he holds the record for the most three-pointers in NBA history, 3,747, and still counting. One man who has won 4 NBA championships with the Warriors and is a 2-time most valuable player and 10-time All-Star. By all standard, a legend in basketball, Kisley.
Yeah, all-standard legend in basketball, you would say. And that's why, of course, the Golden State Warriors have to do everything they can to make sure that they extend his contract, because they know that, within the period of time, he's going to be very, very, instrumental to them. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed and see what Steph Curry brings to the table come next season.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed and see. Basketball season is just a few weeks away, and let's hope that it will be that will bring joy to Golden State Warriors. A lot of money, like we mentioned, the $214 million US. That's quite a huge sum. We'll have to take a break now. When we return from a break, we'll bring you what is breaking at this point in time from the Flushing Meadows in the United States of America, where Gaswatek is had to suffer to enter into the 3rd round. But it's not the case with Carlos Alcaraz, because he has now been crashed. He has crashed out at the 2nd round of the U.S. Open. Number 3 seed out so early. When we return from the break.
is Feyenoord. Feyenoord gaat door.
Welcome back, and it's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, where we bring you latest happening around the world of sports. We told you earlier that the Tigers, Nigeria's female basketball side, is now world number 8 in basketball. They enter into the top 10 for the very first time, and this is cheering for Africa. Remember, they are the first African side to get to the quarterfinal stage of world basketball. Kingsley, let's go to tennis now. And tennis, there is a really shocking development coming from Flushing Meadows in New York, where the last Grand Slam of the year, the US Open, is taking place. First, let's look at the first shock that's coming through, and in the female category, where Norka, two-time champion, crashed out at the competition. Naomi Osaka crashing out, early from this competition. Straight set loss. What do you make of it?
For me, not I didn't expect that, for Naomi Osaka. I thought, she was going to breeze up, and see how she can, take up, take a stand this time around at the US Open. We know it has not been that rosy for her, since she came back, after giving birth to her daughter. It's not been that fantastic at all. It was only, I think, at the Wimbledon where she gave, Iga Swiatek a run for her money, but Swiatek has to come back and got that victory against Naomi Osaka. But since then, she's not been that fantastic. I think she's not really gotten back her form, after coming back since she gave birth to her child. I think that's also the problem at this point in time. But I think there's still time for Naomi Osaka to see how she can breeze up. We understand giving birth and coming back. When you take a look at it, it has not always been easy for tennis players. So you have to take a lot of time to see how you can find back your form. And I think that's the issue at this point in time with Naomi Osaka. But for me, it was a disappointing one. Seeing a lady who has won the US Open. She has won the US Open twice. She was former world #1. And you could see her being also that at this point in time is not a kind of performance you expect on a very good day from Naomi Osaka.
Naomi Osaka, 4-time Grand Slam winner, twice at the U.S. Open in Flushing Meadows, where she lost straight sets to Karolina Muchikova. And this is really shocking because 6-3, 7-6, straight set loss for former world champion doesn't come easy. Like you mentioned, they're world #1 at the stage, but now ranked number 88 in the world tennis. We hope that she will be able to get through. You remember her missing the last time around because of giving birth. She was away for some time. Remember a celebrated case of mental health as well. She was able to go past that one. So let's hope that she will, the same way she found time to have this baby and come back strong, she will get better on the court. But second round loss to lowly ranked Karolina Muchikova is not one we expect at this time. So I hope this could get better in the days ahead. But last Grand Slam of the year, she still have maybe 1 or 2 WT events before the end of the year, then set for next year. It's not looking very rosy for big-time players in the female category at the ongoing U.S. Open. Kingsley, former Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina withdrew from a second-round match
at this point. But so sad for Elena Rybakina, you know, at this point, you know, seeing how she can be able to, you know, put up a, you know, career, and talking about her performance this season, rights it, and then sustaining injury at this point in time. For me, I think
it's not only herself. We saw Karolina Pliskova as well injured in a match.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's really part of the game, and we hope that we don't see more of these players, of course, sustaining injury at this point in time. The U.S. Open is a very crucial tournament, and last Grand Slam of the year, everyone wants to make a mark. And at this point in time, if you're injury, of course, if you're having injury, it's not really, you know, the best at this point in time. But it is what it is. We just hope that we don't see players, you know, of course, getting injured going forward.
Well, we have injuries to the top players. One top player in the female category, Iga Swiatek, continues to power strong. She was a straight set win of 6-love, 6-1 against our opponent, Enna Sharabahana.
Yes, impressive one. She did that in a very impressive fashion. In the space of 65 minutes, she was able to get that done. That showed class. It shows her prowess, you know, of being world #1. And for me, I think it's a good one for Iga Swiatek. We hope, of course, you know, she continue with this impressive fashion. If you take a look at it, it's like the road is gradually getting clear for her. Because we understand that the likes of Emma Raducanu, though she has not been in the best of form, she has been ousted out in the first round of the competition. The likes of Elena Rybakina also been ousted out. Naomi Osaka being ousted out of the competition. But the likes of Aryna Sabalenka, you talk about Jessica Pegula, they are still there.
Pegula beat Sofia Kenin. That was a big match, I must say.
Yeah, a very big encounter. And we hope that she continues as well with this form. Because when it matters most, you always see her not giving her best. So we just hope that, you know, she'll be able to, you know, continue with this level of performance going forward. Not just continue, but she should try her most kind of course to, you know, improve in terms of, you know, her performance as well. So I think it's a little bit, it's getting very much intense at this point in time. We just hope that life of Iga Swiatek will continue. Aryna Sabalenka not also left out of the picture when it has to do with who will win this time around. So we'll all look forward to see how the female category, of course, will go down there.
The biggest shock ongoing at the U.S. Open is that the world #3 has crashed out in the second round. Talking about Carlos Alcaraz, the man from Spain, is no longer part of this year's U.S. Open. He lost in straight sets. A straight set we lost to a relatively unknown Dutch opponent. Kingsley, this is shocking. Zadarshu Schwab from Holland beat Carlos Alcaraz in straight set. What could have happened in this one? Again, we're seeing one of the best tennis players right now losing in the second round at the U.S. Open. He started to be one of the expected winners of this year's U.S. Open.
Yeah, for me, Mr. Shu is really a surprising one. Seeing Alcaraz, of course, being ousted out in the second round of the U.S. Open. I think this is his worst performance in the last 2 weeks. You know, we've seen. Talking about the last 2 weeks, is he got to the finals of the Olympics and couldn't get that one, beaten by Novak Djokovic. Came down to the Cincinnati Open where he was taken out by Guy Monfils, and now being ousted out in the second round. The worst performance, of course, you would say, from Carlos Alcaraz. And this is a player that is ranked 74, beating a player is ranked 74, beating world number 3. For me, is not something, of course, we can comprehend at this point in time. But I think for me, Carlos Alcaraz has not been in the right frame of mind.
He lost 6-1, 7-5, 6-4. All three sets.
That's what I said. Is the worst performance we've seen from Carlos Alcaraz so far. He has not been in the right frame of mind since he lost he lost to Novak Djokovic of the Morphers. He was beaten and he was so frustrated that he even had to smash his racket. The first time Carlos Alcaraz had to smash, his racket, and that should tell you how painful that was, for the man. I think he has not really recovered from those setbacks, and I think that's why, of course, this comeback. How is it possible? We understand upsets are bound to happen, but a player like Carlos Alcaraz, who is on a very good form, who is of course on that verge of probably.
He's won 2 Grand Slam this year. He's won the French Open and sorry, the Wimbledon and
the French Open too.
The French Open, right?
Yes, he won the French Open.
Yeah, the French Open, yes.
So for me, I think the man has not really recovered from those setbacks at the Cincinnati and the Olympics. That's what is his problem at this point.
A lot of people, he seem to, well, he's saying it's not an excuse, but that the schedule for this year is what looks like difficult, not giving. He's not at the US Open with fully recovered from hectic schedule of the Olympic Games where he played up to the final. He lost in the final to Djokovic and won silver. Before then, it was in June he won the French Open. In July he won the Wimbledon. He played in I think in the Australian Open. So it's been a tight calendar for him. But he says it's not an excuse why he lost.
Of course, not an excuse. I love this mentality. I love that, from him saying it's not an excuse. Definitely not an excuse. We understand that tight schedule definitely fatigue my setting. I'm talking about the Olympics as well. He also participated in the doubles with Rafael Nadal, and after that he was also competing in the singles where he went down to the finals and lost to Novak Djokovic. After then, he has to come back to the Cincinnati as well. Yes, all of that can bring fatigue, but I love the fact that he's saying that is not really an excuse, that he's supposed to, of course, to have proven himself. Not losing, even that's why I'm saying, even though we have a very tight schedule, or he has a very tight schedule, saying it's not a reason why he should lose to world number 74. A world number 3 player losing to world number 74. Upsets are bound to happen, but not in this case at this point.
Carlos Alcaraz right now getting it very on the wrong side of history, because right now he's the first of the top 3 seeds to lose within the first 2 rounds of the US Open way back in, we saw that was in 2000 and 2006, yes, that's over 20 years ago. We saw a player who was ranked number 2 lose in the second round. Someone who started as even favorite to winning this one as well. But I'm sure he will definitely go back with his coach Ferrero to assess what really happened. If it's fatigue, then maybe you have to select events and that's in. Then remember they're still in there, Kingsley.
Yeah, Medvedev, one player I was also looking forward to see what he can be able to do this time. But for me, I think Alcaraz being ousted out from the competition give Medvedev that edge of trying to see if he can compete with the likes of Yannick Sinner, Novak Djokovic, and the rest of the players. He's one player that, of course, everyone expects to be in that rank.
He won the best race as well.
Yeah, impressive performance, of course, you will say, but
6-2, 6-3, 7-6.
Yeah, we expect him to be in that rank of the likes of Yannick Sinner, Alcaraz, and Djokovic, but the man has not really lived up to expectation. He was actually tagged the next gen, but I think he's getting past that particular category at this point in time, and he's not getting to that. He cannot be categorized as that top player that in every tournament you're expecting, of course, to win a Grand Slam. But I think the All-Star of Alcaraz should give him that edge of seeing how to compete for the title. Novak
Djokovic is still in.
Yeah, Djokovic taking it one game at a time, and as for me, I think that is what, of course, he needed at this point in time. A lot, of course, at stake for the man. Looking forward to improve his ranking, getting back his world #1 status, and the most important one, which is the 25th Grand Slam for himself, will mean a whole lot if he gets it this particular year, where he won the Golden Slam, of course, at the Olympic Games. So Djokovic has a lot, and I think for me, from what we're seeing him, from what he's doing at this point in time, taking it a game at a time, I think possibly if he keeps his game cool and definitely put up his A game, I tell you, he has a lot to grab.
In the next few hours, we will see Alex Popourin come up against world number 2, Novak Djokovic, any moment soon, and it promises to be thrilling. Alex Popourin from Australia is trying to see whether he can stop Novak Djokovic from getting a Grand Slam number 25. We'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that this will come through in the next few hours. I think there's enough of tennis on the show. Let's quickly now go to football. And Kingsley, it is getting very interesting. Tonight, it will be Rangers International up against Economy Warriors in opener of the 2024-2025 football season here in Nigeria.
Yeah, we'll see how that one will go, but I think that game comes out tomorrow.
Tomorrow, right?
Yes, 31st. Rangers International Economy Warriors will definitely see what, of course, they're going to put up this time around. Rangers won last time. They won the cup last season, and this time around they're coming back with another level, another, we should be looking forward to see another level of performance from them. For Economy Warriors, coming back from the Nigerian National League, get down to the CAF Confederation Cup, where being hosted out by DJFC of Benin Republic. I think they still have a lot to do if they want to stabilize themselves in the Nigerian Premier Football League this time around. They have to make sure they beef up their squad, because the performance we saw in the CAF Confederation Cup, I tell you, they really have to brace up, or else it might be not that rosy, of course, for them this time around. But for Rangers, I think they still have a lot in their bank, because Fidelis Ileshuku, the coach of the side, is also very much optimistic. The manager of the team, Amobi Azuko, is also very much optimistic. Even the players who saw the performance in the CAF Champions League, though they struggled against Comoros, the team from Comoros, talking about Zulemaju FC. But I think in the Nigerian Premier Football League, they know what it takes, to be able to play. So we'll look forward to a very impressive season and a very good opener between Rangers and Economy Warriors.
While on our program, Sports Extraordinary Weekend Edition, we'll take a focus on the Nigerian Premier League as gets underway for 2024-2025 football season. And talking about football here in Nigeria, let's go a bit national. Attention will be on the Godswill Akpabio Stadium on Monday, because the Super Eagles of Nigeria and our new head coach, Labadia, will be in Uyo to resume camping ahead of the crucial tie coming up next weekend at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium, Uyo. 23 players have been invited. We understand there could be 3 more added to the list.
Yes, let us see how it goes. 23 players have been invited by the Nigeria Football Federation, and Labadia, of course, has no choice than to work with these players, because he was being appointed after these players, of course, might have been, after the NFF has invited these players. But I think if you take a look at the list, it's very much, formidable. I think we have the best legs down there in the attack. We have Victor Osimhen, though so many persons are not really pleased with his presence in the team this time around due to what happened against between him and Finidi George. Kelechi Iheanacho is there. Boniface, of course, is still there in the defense. We have a lot of strikers, and talk about midfield. We still have the very best, even in defense. So for me, I think, well, you take a look at the players on ground, they look very much, intact. And I think Bruno Labbadia, I just do not really have that much confidence that he will really, of course, put up his best, because in a situation where he has about just 1 week to train with the players, that is not enough time. Has he studied the players? How many of these players has he been watching, of course, in Europe? That's a big question. So I understand it's very good in terms of deploying the 4-3-3 formation, but he needs a lot of time to make sure that he integrates the philosophy into the players, into the team, and the players, of course, to perform based on what he wants. So let's just see what comes up for him this time.
Away from that, let's quickly inform you that the Super Falcons, the Falconets, have arrived Bogota, that's Colombia, where they will take part in this year's Under-20 World Female Championship. How good are the girls ahead of these fixtures that get underway in the next few days?
I think for me, they've been so fantastic when you take a look at how they've been training, and some of the games, of course, they've engaged. You definitely give them that edge, of getting this right this time around. If you take a look at it, they've participated in every edition of these tournaments, and you see they have the experience. They've been proving a high level of dominance. And for me, I think this time around, we should be looking forward to see them, of course, coming up with a very impressive fashion. 3 players, from Edo Queens who had impressive performance at the WAFU B Women CAF Champions League qualifiers, are in the team. So I think for me it's also a good addition to the girls. It will give them more strength in trying to outclass their opponents.
The girls, Falconets of Nigeria, arrived Bogota with a very rich history of just in preparation. They played about 8 games, scored 27 goals, and that's top-level games. And so I think the girls are ready. Like Kingsley did allude there, they have been to every edition of the World Cup for under-20 side. And when we talk about under-20 football, definitely you have to remember the Falconets of in Nigeria. In the days ahead, they will face Venezuela. They will face, I think, the home side as well. The Germany in Bogota, where they just arrived a few hours ago. Let's quickly go to other issues around world football. Kingsley, UEFA Champions League is here for 2024-2025 season. It's expanded. Instead of 32 teams, we now have 36 teams divided into 8 groups, right?
Yeah.
Of 9 teams each.
Yeah, divided into, we have, yesterday we saw about 4 pots of the draws being made. And for this time around, it's going to look like a league format according to what we saw, where of course each of the team
play 8 games.
They play 8 games, and then at the end of the day, the top 8 will get automatic qualification to the round of 16, while the team from the 9th to 24th position will have to play the playoff to see which of the 8 teams, of course, will be able to get to the round of 16. So it's going to be a little bit lengthy, and I tell you, it will bring that beauty. It will bring that the competition a bit more, and it's going to give the fans that opportunity of seeing top, games, being played this time around. But when you take a look at it as well on the other round, it's also a means of generating more revenues, of course, for UEFA, because more games, of course, will be played this time. The fans, of course, will have to pay ticket fee and all of that. But Mr. Siri, the other way around, it's also going to boil down on the health of the players. A lot of
talking about the health of the players. For you to win this year's Champions League, you have to play, a maximum of 17 matches. That's quite a lot on the health of the players. Some interesting fixtures in the draws. Kingsley, we've seen some of the draws. A lot of people are talking about the group where we find Arsenal. That's in Group H. In the group where we have Arsenal, there is Inter Milan in that squad. There is Shakhtar Donetsk. There's Atalanta of Italy. There is Inter Milan I mentioned earlier to play Arsenal. Sporting Lisbon, FC Monaco, Girona of Spain as well is in the same group. There in the group where we have Liverpool, there is Real Madrid there as well. There's RB Leipzig from Germany. There's Bayern Leverkusen, AC Milan, and Lille of France in that group as well. PSV, Bologna of Italy is there. And interesting fixtures. The draws have pitched very top sides against themselves. What do you make of it, Kingsley?
That's why I said, of course, the fans, it will actually favor the fans because they have that opportunity of seeing top games, being played this time around. And I tell you, it will definitely improve the beauty and the level of competition of the UEFA Champions League this time around. For the British teams, I think it's going to be a little bit intense. Liverpool, Arsenal, you talk about Celtic as well, Manchester City, Aston Villa, who are coming back, after a very long time, of course, to the UEFA Champions League. I think it will be a little bit tough this time around for teams. But the thing is that it might take away that, fact that, fans can easily predict, of course, who get to the round of 16, and that's the beauty of it. So seeing these teams being paired together in talking about top fixtures, I think the fans will be the one, of course, to really enjoy this particular UEFA Champions League format.
One man that was the center of attraction of the draws yesterday was Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo has been recognized as the player with the most goals in the history of the UEFA Champions League. He scored now 140 goals. Kingsley, the man was given recognition yesterday at the draws. He was part of the draws himself, but then officially recognized as the player with the most goals in the history of UEFA Champions League. Right now, he plays his professional football in Saudi Arabia, but he says he's not ruling out return to Champions League football.
I don't know what he wants. The man is 39 years of age. He's not looking 39 at all. In fact, if you take a look at his energy level. He's still very strong and still scoring goals, especially in the Saudi League as well. He scored about, I think, 140 goals. He made about 183 appearances in the UEFA Champions League when he was in Europe. And for me, a very impressive performance, you would say. He scored a couple of goals, of course, in so many UEFA Champions League final. And that's why, of course, UEFA actually gave him this particular recognition. For me, Cristiano Ronaldo is one man that has done a lot, when it has to do with football in different competitions. And we really have to give it up to the man, despite the fact that at some points, football did not really favor him. But I think the man has done a lot. He has set so many records that, it will take years. It will take years, I tell you. It will take dedication and tenacity for the players at the moment, to break. Cristiano Ronaldo, I think he's a legend and truly a legend.
What does Cristiano Ronaldo want from European football? He's won this UEFA trophy, which is the highest you can play in European football, 5 times. Yes, he won the ones with, I think, Manchester United, and he's won it 4 times with Real Madrid. One would think that he should be fulfilled, but he still thinks that he could return at some stage.
Of course, I tell you, the man is not tired. Don't forget, he said something the other day that he wants to play with his son one day. And for me, I think we should be looking forward to see if that will be a reality anytime, any day. He's still looking forward to playing the next World Cup come 2026, and we look forward to see what comes up. For me, if you take a look at it, Mr. Siri, it wasn't really his mind to leave Europe. I think the money from Saudi was really the point of attraction for Cristiano Ronaldo. With other things, of course, that the Saudi, of course, promised him, and he has to go down to Saudi Arabia. And going down to Saudi Arabia, he was able to prove himself and putting up Saudi football to another level. See other big-name players going down to Saudi because of Cristiano Ronaldo. So he has that huge level of influence to see. But let's just see if